Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to do a breakdown of the trailer that just came out for Bad Boys 3, also known as Bad Boys for Life, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, who are returning to reprise their roles from the original two films. Now, before I go into this, Bad Boys 1 and 2 were both made in I know Bad Boys 2 was 2003. I believe Bad Boys 1 was either 1998 or 1999. And they basically follow these two cops that are played by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence as they investigate various narcotics-related cases. And over the course of the film, they play on a lot of Martin Lawrence and Will Smith's chemistries, their comedy and stuff like that. So it's basically your kind of your standard buddy cop movie mixed with a bit more high action than maybe what you would be accustomed to with that type of a setting. So now we move into Bad Boys 3. Now, Bad Boys 3, again, we're at this point we are 16 years removed from Bad Boys 3, or Bad Boys 2, and we've seen the characters. We catch up with the characters basically after that point. So we kind of get reintroduced. The first scene is actually kind of funny and kind of cool, where there's this really, really nice, I think it's a Porsche, really nice car at the beginning, and Will Smith comes out of it, and then Martin Lawrence comes out of the passenger side, and he accidentally hits the door on a fire hydrant. So it's kind of funny. Again, they had the little banter between him and Will Smith. It appears through the trailer that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence still have a very good chemistry with each other in terms of their back and forth and their comedic stuff, and their friendly little ribs at each other and stuff like that. And again, through the trailer, they really kind of just pick up where they left off, which is really what you want with a film like this. If it feels like the two actors have become almost alien to one another, then it deeply affects the film in a bad way. But from this trailer, that doesn't seem to be the case, at least from what I can tell. Now, moving forward through the trailer, we go through these little scenes. We kind of catch up where people are. Will Smith's still kind of a badass cop. Martin Lawrence is he wants to get out of it. He doesn't really want to keep doing what he's doing. There's a line in there. He says, "You just want your legacy to be muscle shirts and body counts." And they do this kind of really funny thing where they show this kind of action shootout where Will Smith is doing all these like Max Payne type dive moves and stuff, and at the same time he's having this like back and forth with his commissioner, who is, I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but he's a very good, like, kind of nervous, like pissed off guy. He's kind of like a Joe Pesci in that sense, except not Italian, or not noticeably Italian. He said, did you so you're telling me you didn't shoot anybody? He's like, "No, Captain, I shot people." It's a funny little back and forth, and it shows Will Smith's character and brings us kind of back in with him. And then Martin Lawrence is kind of the other side of the coin, where he's getting older. He thinks he's over the hill. Basically, he's having kind of like a midlife crisis, and he's thinking about retiring from the police force and kind of just riding off into the sunset. And basically, after we get past this point, we don't really see what the main point of conflict is for the film necessarily, which is fine. Again, this is the first trailer, and it shouldn't give away too much, which it doesn't. But we see that basically there's a scene where they say, bad boys for life, and they do a fist bump, and now we're back in business. And then after that point, you kind of just go through a lot of action set pieces. There's a scene where they're driving through a mall, not Animal House, Blues Brothers style. Martin Lawrence is flashing his badge to all the people that are next to them, saying that they're cops. Don't worry about it. They're black. They'll pull themselves over later. And a lot of stuff with Will Smith. There's a lot of comedy mixed in here, and that's really what you want for the feel of a Bad Boys movie. Is you want the equal mix of comedy and action, and I think they do that very well in this trailer. And then we go through the trailer. We don't really see the villains of the movie per se. Again, most of it is really just focused on Martin Lawrence and Will Smith and some other random characters throughout the trailer, but we go through this, and then, again, the last scene is a comedic scene where they're in a shootout, and Will Smith basically has Martin Lawrence put on some glasses. He says, "Oh, I can see now." He's like, "I've been telling you that shit for a year." And then, actually, sorry, I stand corrected. That's the scene right before the end of it. Then the end of it are these like rookie cops trying to sing "Bad Boys," and then it goes over to Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. They basically tell them to shut the fuck up, and that they need to learn the lyrics, which take a while, and then they're never going to attempt that again. Which is kind of funny because it's kind of like, okay, the younger generation of cops that think they're badasses versus the older cops that know they're badasses. So, again, it's kind of one of those things where you're putting the kids in their place, kind of thing, which is funny, and it kind of fits with that idea where they're not done yet. That's kind of the idea. So, now that we're through the trailer, I want to just break down a couple extra things. I think the trailer was fine. I think it was good for a first trailer. I think it captured the tone of the Bad Boys films very well. I think the dialogue was done very well. I think the chemistry between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith is right where it should be, and I have no problems with the trailer itself. Now, there are a couple things to mention. One, Michael Bay is not directing this film. There are two directors that are doing this film, and their names are, sorry, I have it pulled up in front of me. Adil El. Before I say this, I apologize for butchering the hell out of this name. Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. And they're a directing team. They've done a lot of type of, I guess you'd call them urban films. Stuff like the gangster lifestyle and stuff like that. A lot of things like that. But it seems like they're able to capture Michael Bay's Bad Boys image with these films, or with this new film. So I'm not really too worried that he's not really involved. Also, Michael Bay kind of sucks, so I don't really. Bad Boys 2 was probably as much as I hate to say it, even though I do like Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys 2 is probably the best movie he's made outside of The Rock. But going back, that's not really that worrisome, but it is something to note. And the other thing is that this movie is coming out on January 17th of 2020. Now, I've said this before, and I will say it again, and it is changing a little bit over the years, because the film release schedule for big budget films is getting wider and wider and wider to basically include February through December now. But January is normally reserved for shit movies. It is usually reserved for, I shouldn't say shit movies, but it's usually reserved for either really crappy horror movies, or really crappy movies overall, or movies that studios are not confident in, so they release it in January because there's no competition to the market, or Oscar bait. That's really all they're relegated to. And there's not really much else in January. Now, this is an action movie. Maybe they think that it can't step up to the summertime releases for next year. I could see that, definitely. But to push it all the way to January is a little odd to me, unless they really have very little confidence in this film. Because if this movie was gonna get put out, I would probably say, offhand, maybe release it in, late August, or mid to late August, sometime around there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's any huge releases happening around that time next year. So, again, I don't know why you wouldn't release it on like an off week during the summer, but that's what it is. So it's just something to note moving forward. And again, I like the first trailer. Didn't give away too much. Barely know anything about the story besides what's going on with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, which is a good thing. But ultimately, good trailer. I liked it. Not sold on the film yet, but I think they're going in the right direction. So now that we've gone through that, as usual, the trailer will be linked in the description below. And remember to hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?